Hello my crafty peeps, it's Cheyenne from PixieCrafter.com. We are doing another card today, and I wanted to play around with some products, do something with some fun colors and some exciting things. So here's my color palette for today. I'm kind of doing a fall, but I didn't want to fully commit to fall yet. So I've got my Early Espresso and Peekaboo Peach, my Berry Burst, and my Soft Sky, and I kind of feel like these are some nice fall summer transition colors, if you will. So I've got some scraps of Soft Sky, Peekaboo Peach, and Berry Burst that I'm going to be incorporating into my card. I have the idea in my head, but I haven't fully formed it because I want to see how it goes, you know, because it always evolves from what's in my head to what actually turns out on paper. For the rest of the cardstock, I've got a very vanilla thick cardstock base. It's 5 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. Make sure those measurements are right. Then I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock. This is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And I've got this lemon lime twist bit, and it's just 1/8 of an inch bigger. So that would be 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. No, that's not right. Not 5 3/8. It is 4 1/8. Yes, 4 1/8 by 5 no, it was right. 3/8. 5 3/8. Again, numbers, math does it to me every time. You want to talk about history, geography, arts, literature, I got you. Just keep math out of it. Even biology and anatomy, got it. Okay, back on track here. We're going to be doing some embossing. So I've got Versamark, my embossing buddy, and Stampin' Up! Clear embossing powder. I thought we might be doing a little bit of distressing, so I've got this Tim Holtz, let me see if I can find the actual name, Distress, nope, it's a little thing that you put your pens and your markers in, and it does little splatter marks. That's all I got for you right now. There will be a full list of the products I use in the description bar below, because it might change and evolve from this. For stamp sets, I've got the Sheet Music background stamp from Stampin' Up! And the Paisleys Posies stamp set with the coordinating die set. I cannot remember the name of it right now. It wasn't a bundle, but it's not anymore. Used to just say the Paisleys and Posies. Paisley? Yeah, Paisleys and Posies, they're both plural, bundle, but I can't say that anymore. I actually have to know what the die is. So I'm not 100% sure which ones I'm going to be using, but it's going to be fun, and we're going to have a good time. I am also going to be using this DIY gold mist. So how did I make this? Well, I took some perfect pearls and some water, and I mixed it together. Perfect pearls are pretty wonderful. They already have a binder in them, so I don't have to add anything to it. If you are using something like Pearl X powders, you will have to add like some gum arabic to it, just to make sure that it's actually going to stick to whatever it is that you're spraying it on, stick to your paper. But you don't have to worry about that with perfect pearls. You just go ahead and pop them in, shake it up, and then spray. And I love that I can really customize how much gold I want in it, how concentrated or diluted I make this out to be. It's whatever I want it to be. And this is just a bottle from the dollar store, or possibly the travel section at Walmart. I'm not 100% sure, but let's get started, shall we? Alright, first thing I did was grab my silicone craft mat from Ranger. I love this. I love the size of it. And now we're going to go ahead and heat emboss that thankful, grateful, blessed sentiment from the Paisleys and Posies stamp set. Make sure to rub that embossing buddy over your surface so that you don't get embossing powder where you don't want it. We're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to use our clear embossing powder to heat set this. So you're not going to see it. The very vanilla cardstock is going to show through, and that's going to be very nice once we get some ink on there. And I always tell you, make sure you heat up your heat tool before you bring it to your project. This is really going to help any warping that's going to happen, and it's going to save your arms a little bit. Next, we're going to grab the sheet music background stamp. I am in love with this background stamp. It is gorgeous. And I'm using Early Espresso ink to go ahead and get that inked up, and then we're going to stamp over where we heat emboss the sentiment. It's going to be so fun. Now, how do I clean my big background stamps? I do use the Stampin' Mist and Stampin' Scrub, but sometimes, especially with the darker colors, I notice that I do have to bring in a baby wipe, and I'll just go over that really quick, and that's all it takes. Now let's grab some of our Stampin' sponges. So I'm grabbing my Early Espresso little wedge pie piece, and I'm going to go ahead and ink up the edges. This is going to give a nice little halo effect. It's going to almost make that center part glow a little bit. And it's also going to help to bring out the sentiment, the thankful, grateful, blessed sentiment. I'm also adding some Peekaboo Peach in just a couple spots just to add some depth and dimension, to warm it up a little bit, because Early Espresso is a really cool tone color, and I want to get more of that fall aged feel to it as well. And keep building up ink around that heat emboss sentiment until you can start to see it. It really makes a difference. And then you can go back in with a paper towel or something and clean off the top of it. Now I'm spraying it with some gold mist that I have DIY'd myself. All I took was Perfect Pearls, some of the gold, and added it to water. You can really make it your own, and the Perfect Pearls do have a binder in it, so you don't have to add anything else, and that is pretty awesome. I dried it with my heat tool on the number 1 setting, which is very nice. And sometimes if it starts to warp up, just flip it back and forth a little bit, and that'll get it to lay down a little flatter again. Now I'm bringing in one of my favorite tools, the Tim Holtz Distress Marker Spritzer. So you can just add any brush tip marker into this and just use it to kind of blow little dots and splotches. And depending on where you put the marker to the nozzle that blows the air, you're going to get bigger or smaller little spots, and I love it. And I just used my Berry Burst to do a little bit of that, and I really love the aged look that it gives it. And here might be my second favorite tool. This is the Distress tool from Tim Holtz, and I'm just distressing the edges. I love the depth and dimension that it gives to the edge. So even if you're not using foam tape or anything like that to add dimension, that really just kind of, it does. I can't explain it. It just adds, it pops it up off the page a little bit. Now I'm taking some of the Whisper White ribbon. You can find this in the Coffee Break suite from Stampin' Up. It is really fun. I love getting the Whisper Whites and Very Vanillas and dyeing them myself. So I've got my Lemon Lime Twist marker, and I'm just coloring that all over one side of the ribbon. And then I'm going to take that DIY gold spritz, and I'm going to spritz it up, get it wet. I'm going to run it around, and this is really going to help move that ink throughout and really get it dyed in. Now let's bring out our big shot and do some fun stuff. So I've got my precision base plate because I know I'm going to be using some of those intricate dies, and I want to make sure that it's all good. So all I'm doing for this process is picking out what different shapes I want. I don't have a rhyme or reason to this, and if I've got a piece of Peekaboo Peach paper, I'm going to use the Peekaboo Peach stamp, the ink pad, to do the stamp, and I'm doing that with all of them. Peekaboo Peach, the Soft Sky, and the Berry Burst, and I'm just going through and doing all that. Now, I do find with the intricate dies, you do want to run them through a few times to get the best results. Don't just think that one pass is going to make it, because it might not. So I just do at least 3. I found that some of them need 4. And then having the die brush really does help to make this process go a lot faster. Helps to pop out that paper and everything. It's not perfect. It's not fail-safe. Sometimes you might have to go in with a pointy tool and get some of like the little dots and stuff out. But it really does make it a lot easier to get everything out of your dies. And I am totally in love with this die set. It is gorgeous, and it is so much fun. I love how it coordinates with the stamp set. There's just so much that you can do with it. I'm a little sad that I haven't done more with it, but I'm feeling so inspired right now that I'm sure that I will be doing so much more with it. Look for a lot more of a multi-layered set, so where I'm building up layers of cardstock to create a more dimensional piece just out of paper. You don't need anything else, but I think that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Like, I've got a lot of different ideas, and I do love this set for fall. I don't know why Paisleys feel like fall to me, but they do. It's a little strange, but it's true. And look at that gorgeous flower. I think I need to get this set and meet it up with the Eastern Palace Suite, and I think that would be a match made in heaven. Think of all the wonderful designs you can make with both of those together. Ah, it's going to be gorgeous. Gorgeous! Yes! And I want to take a moment to point out, do you see how my work surface is, where I just kind of have everything just right there, and it's messy, and, you know, just there's a whole lot going on? That's how I usually craft. It's usually just everything is everywhere. I've got, you know, if I thought that the precision base plate was going to be a good surface to stamp on, I probably would have done that. But it is a little bit firm to stamp with the photopolymer stamps, so that is the only reason why I wasn't rolling that way. You've got to go with what inspires you and with what works. And for me, working this way, that's what brings out my creativity. That's what gets me excited about things, and that's important when you're being creative, right? That you know, keep being inspired. When you lose that mojo, it's just very hard to get going again, isn't it? I interrupt this tutorial to show you something pretty gosh darn cool. So we've got this die from the Paisleys and Posies die set. Again, I can't remember the name of it, but you can find them together. So you pop that out, all right? So you get this piece. This is pretty cool. You can take it and you can basically quill it. Everyone familiar with quilling? The ancient art of paper rolling? Yes, that is how I roll. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a pair of tweezers, or if you have a quilling tool, that would be awesome as well. And you're just going to take this end, and you could ink this up, do whatever you want with it before, and if you're going to ink it now. And you are just going to start to roll it. There we go. And you just keep rolling and rolling right around this little spiral. And then you end up with the cutest little flower. All you have to do is adhere it. I think I'm going to see if a mini glue dot will actually be strong enough for this. I think I'm going to need to, usually I would do something like hot glue or a quick dry glue for this, but let's experiment, shall we? So here we go, mini glue dots. Actually, I might need 2. I'm just going to kind of let it expand a little bit so it's covering the base. So that little circle, so it goes all the way to the outside of that there. I'm going to give it a good push down. You could also go ahead and I've shown you how to take like your flower punches and use a mouse pad and a pen or a where is it? Something. My ballpoint tool. Can't remember the name of it right now. It's kind of late at night. One of these jobbies. And you can go ahead and break up the paper fibers so it's a little bit more distressed. But there you go. Look at that. Isn't that the cutest little flower? It's so adorable. So any project where you can have like that depth of that dimension, so a picture frame, maybe a tag, a gift packaging, something like that, you could go ahead and do this up. And then you also have a flat surface here that you can go ahead and adhere it to. So that's pretty gosh darn cool. So to put it in perspective maybe. So there we go. So, all right, let's get back to the actual tutorial, shall we? All right, so now that we've got all of our bits and bobs stamped and die cut, now it's time to figure out how we're putting all of this together. So I'm going to make sure that my ribbon is dry. I did set that aside so it can air dry, but now I'm just using my heat tool on one to kind of speed up that dry and make sure it's good, because I know that this has to go in the background. So I want to go ahead and kind of adhere it down and see what's going to happen and how I'm going to build it up, just so I can get all the placement correct. Okay, and now you're just going to see me just kind of play around with the different ways that I can put it all together. I know I kind of want them to just be kind of organic, almost like a bouquet or something like that. Just have a nice flow to it from one corner to the other. So I've got a nice diagonal flow to it. And just trying to figure out how I'm going to put all of these pieces together and have them just be in a pleasing composition without any funky bits sticking out. So I realized that, all right, I can kind of go with the curvature of everything. So kind of have it go out together and just layer everything up and down. I'm using mini glue dots, some of the fine tip glue pen, and even some little mini dimensionals to really get some extra dimension in so it's not looking so flat. And some of the bits and bobs are going to be underneath the ribbon, some are going to be over it. So I wanted to make sure there was some nice fun stuff going on, and making sure that the colors were kind of evenly distributed as well. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes I find that getting the lid off the fine tip glue pen is kind of a challenge, because the white cap comes off, but so does a little bit of the black nozzle too. Like, they're both twist, and they both twist the same way. So sometimes it is a little bit of a challenge, especially for someone who has carpal tunnel like myself, to get the cap off. But you know what? It's so worth it. I really do love this glue. It's pretty awesome. And now those mini Stampin' Up! Dimensionals are really wonderful. I am in love with them. They are the perfect size for all of those like smaller cuts that you might have been like, I can't put a dimensional on this. That's just crazy. But they really do make a difference. They really do help. Now, at this point, I'm thinking, I need something more to this card, something that's going to help with the flow. So I remember I've got Studio G glitter glue that I haven't touched in a year. Let's see what I've got. So I pull out kind of a dazzling diamond and a lime green one. But before I start doing that, I think maybe I should start adhering this down. So I grab my handy dandy ATG gun. I love this, and I'm so happy to be using it. It really does make my life so much easier. And I'm adhering down everything, and then I will grab the Studio G glitter glue, and I will go ahead and pop down some dots on it. I think I'm going to have to get some of the Nouveau drops. I am fascinated by them, and I think I'm going to enjoy those so much, because in doing my research, I've realized that finding the Studio G glitter glue is not easy. So time to get something that everyone can enjoy and purchase. Now I'm just taking and doing some random dots kind of throughout everything, just to kind of help with that flow. I know that these are going to dry down more clear, so you're just going to see a little bit of the glitter shimmer. So that's what I'm doing. All right, so here is the finished card. Let me move it around a little bit for you. There's some nice shimmer in the background with that DIY gold mist. And then we've got some glitter drops. This is the Studio G glitter glue that you can pick up from Michael's, or at least you could. Last I bought them from Michael's. So this is really awesome. Like, I like how it turned out. I kind of like the juxtaposition of the old kind of worn out sheet music with something that's really kind of crisp and colorful over the top, and of course our nice thankful, grateful, blessed sentiment. So I just think that's lovely, and I can't wait to see once the glitter drops are completely dry, how they add to it. It's just going to be the glitter. It's glitter in like a clear glue base. So yeah, let's see how they dry up, and then we'll check it out. So I'm going to let this sit overnight, and we'll be back in the morning. Okay, it is the next day. The glitter glue has dried, and I am loving it. I really feel like the glitter glue, it's a little subtle, but it helps to kind of keep a flow. It's directing it in a certain way instead of just having these like stuck on there. I love it, and it just adds just a nice little shimmer to it. So alright, that is it for today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave me a comment if there are any products, any brands, any companies that you would like to see me use. I've been out of the game for about a year because I've only been Stampin' Up, so I'm anxious to see what you guys are really passionate about. So yeah, anyway, until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye. Want to see more? Here's some videos that might interest you. And remember, you can find a full list of the products I used at my website and blog, along with more project ideas and inspiration. You can also find all of my affiliate links or shop my Etsy boutique. And feel free to contact me to help book and plan a magical Disney vacation.